A very good morning to you, and thank you for tuning in to FlowFM 92.7. You go with the Flow radio station. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning. It is the 22nd of July, 2025. And thank you for joining us via terrestrial radio. And if you listen via the World Wide Web as well, so we say thank you so very much for tuning in. It is now time for us to have our say, to discuss, debate, and talk about some of the big stories that made to the front page of the daily newspapers, or the dailies this morning. And then you can talk about some of those trending headlines. We brought you the headline news at 7 o'clock, a compilation of stories trending. And if any of those stories caught your attention, you want to pass comment on them, or you want to analyze or discuss or share your 2 cents on them, or please, you're absolutely free to do that by calling the number 0807 777 9927, 0807 777 9927. You can also send us a WhatsApp message as to your reactions to the same number as well too. We have Nicholas Uwerunonye, who is joining us live, and of course he will lead the conversation this morning, analyzing some of the trending national headlines. But hey, the conversation, like we said earlier, is not going to be limited to the studio alone. You have the chance as well to pass comment on soon to be touched on stories. My name is Adeyemi.
And I'm Danielle Shitta-Bey. Thank you for joining us on the headline news analysis. Good morning to you, Nicholas.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Well, fine.
All right, then. The views to be expressed is not in any way the position of FlowFM 92.7 or the staff therein, but is expressed by in-house analyst Nicholas Uwerunonye. And just to reiterate that we're streaming live on YouTube and on Facebook this morning at FlowFM 927, so you can get on any of these apps and get in on the live action happening in the studio right now. All right, let's pick this one up. I mean, it was quite a downfall yesterday. Last night was a lot of downpour, and we have NIMET forecasting the widespread thunderstorm and rainfall across Nigeria from Monday, that's the date, till Wednesday, July 23, and it will be affecting the northern parts, not central and southern regions.
Mm-hmm. Well, it wasn't that total yesterday, because in my area in Bijila, it was it was just minimal.
It wasn't a lot.
It wasn't a lot.
Oh wow, it was a lot on this other side. It was a lot.
It was,
a whole lot.
You're going to get a lot of scattered rainfall, and here, this is where the part that concerns us is how do we prepare for things like that, and especially considering the poor management of disaster in Nigeria. I sincerely hope that all the flood-prone areas, have been evacuated and things have been done. People have been warned adequately, and this is where you have, the local media. Where you have the local media, and of course, disaster management officers reaching out to traditional rulers, especially in the rural areas, especially in the Kwara North. You're going to want to talk to them. Talk to the leaders, about possibility of moving people away from flood-prone areas. Then, more importantly, my concern is I think beyond looking at what is going to happen in Nigeria, I think you should look at what is going to happen in Cameroon, weather-wise, because we are talking of Langdo dams. Langdo Dam, that is a lake in use. That Langdo is what leads to all the flooding incidents that we have. The moment they're about to, the moment the dam is saturated with water, what they do is that to ease pressure, they open the valves, so it could trickle down all the way from I think the Taraba axis, around Taraba axis, it goes through Kashambila, then comes down south. So that is where you have all those flood. That's why we record most of those flood incidents that you have. Then, of course, we put our, the basins and, the dam authorities on notice, about things like that. Then, of course, you have the other parts, cold weather and the rest of and things like that. Directives have to be on the radio, like we do here in the Flow FM every morning, telling them what kind of dressing to wear, the kind of medication you should take, you should have on hand, and things like that. How to clothe yourself in periods like this. So these are, things, that I think we should have at the topmost of our mind, within this period. And of course, we need to consider ourselves lucky in this part of the world. when you talk of
some other countries have it worse.
Oh, come on! You hear what happened in the US when you have hurricane, when you have flood incidents, when you even have fire incidents. It has to do with the heat, of the heat, that is spontaneous combustion, and before you know what's happening, a lot of property, lives. Look at the case of was it California? Where did the recent one happen? About 200 people. So I think we should be more careful, because with all this what is it, global warming, climate change and things like that, the weather is becoming very, very unpredictable. So I think more than usual attention should be paid, especially the orientation side of it, because in those days, you could predict when there is going to be rain, but now you don't even know. Yeah,
it's not as accurate.
It's not. No, it's not.
All right. Aside, the warnings that NIMET, gives out, periodically or annually, as the case may be, should they go beyond just issuing, warnings and all of these things? Can they do other, actions? Can other actions be taken up, by NIMET? Because if you consider it year in, year out, they issue some of these warnings, and then we still go ahead and experience, flooded environments. What else can they do, NIMET?
I think the problem is in, this straitjacketed way of giving weather warnings. It's particularly the problem. The few times I have had to report, I've had to, go to NIMET to get information. Seasonal, seasonal. They call it seasonal. I've forgotten the name that you have every season. It takes a lot of experts to explain the details of all those things. What you need to do. And what I discover is that most of these construction companies, they pay for that information, that intelligence every year. Even bankers, they get all those. So it helps them map out the market, map out the economy, how they are going to work within that season, within that period. So they can afford the expert that can interpret those data. But you see, to what extent are we distilling those information for the ordinary man on the street? That is where the problem is. That is what I think we need to move beyond the ordinary, beyond what we used to do. And to a very large extent, I want to call on the National Orientation Agency. I think this is where they need to play significant role. Because when we talk of information management during a disaster, pandemics, Nigeria is fantastically. We are so good at it. Sometimes you make very serious adverse prediction that it's going to ravage the entire country, but at the end of the day, you see us weathering it better than even more organized countries. So the thing is that, you see, we are able to interpret those complex scientific data into the ordinary layman explanation to such an extent that the ordinary man on the street is able to understand that, look, this is what I need to avoid, but when it comes to weather, the thing is, probably it has to do with our faith, that it's only God that determines when it's going to rain and things like that. We tend to leave all those things for God. But you see, God has so much given us science, and to a very large extent, I think that we need to transit that capacity to interpret pandemic information to the ordinary man's language on the street. We need to take that lesson, take all those expertise into weather reporting, weather analysis. You can see that even as I am right now, even compared to the ordinary man, I think I understand, vagaries of weather reports more than the average man on the street. But you can see me stuttering because it's something very complex. Let me go about it this way. How do they predict weather? They predict weather by what they call this simple, a formula in mathematics. They call it a chaos theory. It's one of those things they use. It's a very abstract concept. But over time, the developed world have been able to make it so ordinary that the average man understands that when you see these signs, you move. If you refuse to move, the government agency come to move you. You understand? So when you do that 2-3 times, people understand that this is what you must do. This is places you need to avoid. These are the things you need to do about this particular time. This is how you need to dress. This is how you need to go about your work. Whether you have to be sedentary or have to be, mobile. You understand? So, but we don't have that. When it comes to weather reporting, when it comes to understanding the weather, the vagaries of weather, and how it affects our economy and everyday life. So this is something I think the orientation and the media has a lot of role to play, So.
All right. 0807-777-9927 is number to call or to text. We have a message here. It says, good morning, everyone. About the flooding, I really wish we had a working system in Nigeria. Nigeria is not a country where we're faced with life-threatening natural disasters, yet we don't create as much awareness as possible to fight it. And if only everyone at the helm of affairs will do what they're supposed to do. Matthew from Tanker.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's just about summarize what we've been saying.
All right, let's get to another conversation. But before that, 0807-777-9927. We have this news story where Kemi Badenoch has come under, the news puts it as fire from Nigerian lawyer Femi Falana and former Senator Shehu Sani for claiming she cannot pass Nigerian citizenship to her children because of her gender. Now, Falana described her statements as misleading and contrary to the Nigerian constitution, which genuinely allows citizenship by descent through either parent, whether the father or the mother. Sani went ahead to also criticize Badenoch and urging her to focus on her adopted country instead of making inaccurate remarks about Nigeria. Yeah. Apparently, this isn't the first time she's making such remarks about.
Yeah, Kemi Badenoch has become controversial about making negative passes at, commentary passes at Nigeria. And, sometimes I go back and look at what could be going on in her mind when she says all those things. So I think it's coming from a very, very difficult place that essentially is about disappointment. But what I can say is, yes, the information is inaccurate, because all she needed to do is just to take a look at the Super Falcons. That's all. There is this lady there, Plumpter, Ashley Plumpter. Taking a look at Ashley Plumpter is, by all description, sorry to use the expression, by every description, she's white. So what is simply, it's not even the mulatto type of, coloration that you have. Not the like you have in the case of this defender we have.
Ekong.
You understand? This is pure Caucasoid, that you're looking at. But yes, she's playing for Nigeria. So what it simply tells you is that, it's more of an ancestral thing, not immediate, that maybe the father or the mother have a direct link to Nigeria. We are talking of something that is maybe third generation down the line. That is what you're saying. So if she can play for Nigeria, be a Nigerian citizen, how much more of Badenoch that was born here and married, a different person? It's, there are certain things that I think, if you recall the last time she spoke about Nigeria, she talked about what the police did to, the brother. So on the basis of that, we react to traumas like that differently.
Now, is that well managed, or there should be a different channel, to express, your grief rather than, speak bad of a country like that? And what diplomatic, action or sanction can be done in this situation at least?
You see, I come from a background where, when people express themselves, what I try to do is, why would she say that? Not outrightly condemning, because you see, let us be very honest with ourselves. In all that Badenoch has said, how can the average Nigerian on the street say he hasn't said worse about Nigeria? That is one good question. We might not come on air and externalize it. You understand? But every single Nigerian, at some point, most Nigerians have said something worse about their country. So, but, this is not to say that what she's saying is right. It should be condoned. But you see, rather than open up with this, campaign of calumny, attack and things like that, I try to understand why she would say things like that. You understand? And this is not to say that, what she has said is right and we should commend her for what she has said. No, that is not it. But I think I kind of like Falana's response. It was measured, that it is inaccurate. And of course, the thing is that it's about law. She doesn't understand law. She doesn't understand Nigerian constitution. So it's as simple as that is the way I see it. But I know there is going to be a lot of reaction because there has been, a lot of, like I was looking at the Facebook yesterday and I see a lot of response. Ironically, most of the people, who have been attacking Badenoch have said something worse about Nigeria.
I think the issue is the fact that she's doing it internationally. Like she's a citizen here, and then she's doing it on a global stage where there's an elevated voice.
Facebook is not local. Facebook is a global platform. So, but you see, I'm not. Look, it's so that people understand what I'm saying properly. It is just that Badenoch has lost. She's not diplomatic. And she's not diplomatic. She's rudely blunt. Let me just put it that way. You understand? And yes, it is quite unbecoming, of a person in her position, being a politician and being an influential person, to be saying things like that. I don't know under what circumstance she said, she made that comment, but it shouldn't be said in a place where it gets the kind of attention that it's getting now. Nigeria might be, you might say a lot of things that are negative about Nigeria, but there are lots of positive about Nigeria. Lots of positive. That if I have a chance to change nationality, I won't. I will still remain in Nigeria because there are so many things around here. I have friends abroad, and when we compare notes, I still want to be in Nigeria and live in Nigeria.
All right, 0807-777-9927. 0807-777-9927 is number to call.
Well, and equally too, one must equally add to that, I think she's a loser. Yeah. Because there are lots of, exactly, that's how a loser talks. We are talking of a lot of people, however bad you paint Nigeria, you still have a lot of Nigerians thriving. You still have people like us here, still see something positive about this country.
All right, let's take this call.
Yeah.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. All right, looks like we lost that call. 0807-777-9927. Again, 0807-777-9927. We have a message on WhatsApp. Kemi Badenoch is making herself more unlikable by the Nigerian people. I don't understand why she'll be fighting Nigeria with her position. She can't be saying what she's saying as a woman who doesn't. Okay. But basically, what was the aim of her comment? What was the end point to her comment? Let's take another call. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay.
All right, please try and connect back if you can. 0807-777-9927. I think we're experiencing a little bit of issues with on the phone line this morning. We can push traffic to WhatsApp 0807-777-9927. Well, I'm still on Kemi Badenoch again. When a citizen speaks like that, what are steps that the foreign ministry can take? Is there any diplomatic action that can be taken against her or stuff like that?
Yeah, the High Commission in the UK can write a strongly worded petition. They can even make a press conference on that. Asking people asking the Prime Minister to call her to order. Because you cannot be demarketing Nigeria, pathologizing Nigeria, on a global platform, and you expect there won't be a kind of backlash.
Well, let's also do a little bit of comparison. She's not the only person, actually.
Yeah.
On social media who is very vocal about, grief and all, their pains and all. The former governor of Oyo State, Ulunloyo, his daughter, Kemi Ulunloyo, as well, so speaks of Nigeria in that. Like, as a matter of fact, she's come a couple of times to say she's not Nigerian, and that and recently she even spoke on the late, former President Muhammadu Buhari, and then her father. Of course, all of this, crisis. Does that say a lot, probably in relation to their backgrounds,
no.
or their experience, their backgrounds and the experience of Nigeria as a state?
No, for me, I did say that rather than outrightly, giving a blanket, reprimand, I prefer looking at what are those things that moved her to say things like that. My experience is that people who talk like Ulunloyo and recently Badnock perhaps must have been through some kind of trauma. You understand? Childhood trauma, It could be as a result of poor parenting, Could be as a result of, some incidents in their lives that were not properly managed. You see, in this part of Africa, there is this thing we do as Africans that, and I think parents should really watch out for. We tend to shut kids in. You see a boy, being emotional, and you say, no, a boy does not cry. A man should not cry, and things like that. But, that is psychologically, that is wrong. You have to, let the child, have a catharsis.
Sorry,
hold on, let's take this call then.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you. Please, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Okay, this is Michael from Ilorin.
All right, Michael, please go ahead with your comment.
Okay, so on the issue around Kemi, I think just like the guest said, I want to believe that probably the only way she will be behaving like that, it depends on parental upbringing. What are the things that the parents sold to her when she was growing up? So if she had that negative and probably the parents, they experience one or two things and they decide to make her boxed in that kind of thinking, of course, she would not say anything good in Nigeria. Because the difference between when I go on Facebook or Twitter to even say any derogatory thing about Nigeria and the likes of Kemi is the fact that she's an authority. She represents an authority. So people take her word more serious than me. So I don't want to believe that she doesn't know what we call GST 101, basic things about citizenship. That is either you are a citizen by birth, neutralization, or registration. And the parents are already Nigerian. So why she was just trying to be clever by half. But I think she has some kind of frustration with the country and she should just come out plain to say it, and probably the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Nigerian government will find a way around it to deepen our economic development than just to disparage us on international media like this. So it's quite sad. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Michael.
Yeah, actually, Michael, she has said her grievances about Nigeria over time. She recalled an incident where police, extorted the brother. It was a traumatic experience for her. So, like you rightly said, I think they should reach out to her. Reach out to people who are close to her. Yeah.
All right, let's take another call. Hello, good morning. Hello. Good morning to you. What is your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Mr. Yusuf.
Okay.
Please go
Please
ahead.
go ahead with your comment.
I just say forward.
All right. Well, the conversation is on national trending stories this morning. 8 o'clock every single morning, 8 to 8:30. Anything outside that, trending headlines, we can reserve them until other segments of the Floor Breakfast Show. Lastly, on Kemi Badenoch, what are some of the implications of our action? Speaking down on Nigeria, how can that affect
it can.
the perception of other countries?
Not only
knowing fully well the figure or how important she is in the UK.
No. What it does is it emboldens other people to continue to demarcate and pathologize us abroad. That is if it's not handled properly. I think a diplomatic channel, kind of protest, open protest, must be made by the federal government. Puts pressure on the government of UK to call her to order. Write specifically to the party. I think she's of the Conservative Party. If I'm
Yes,
not,
she is.
So write to the Conservative Party, warning her of the dire consequence of, and in any case, isn't it even a shame that, when you look at every problem we have, we should trace it back to the doorstep of the country where she's taking refuge. It's that country that came to colonize her and left a very tattered, useless system that we have been trying to manage all this while. I think kudos should be given to Nigerians because, they left an unworkable situation, but we are making the best out of it as Nigerians. It's really a big shame, really. You are going to the same people who are there, who created a lot of problems for us, and from there, taking pot shots at your country and your kinsmen. And it's rather shameful, really. But like I said, you have to look at the entirety, look at it as a whole package. What is wrong with Badenoch? I mean, organically or even psychologically. That is the big question.
All right, 0807-777-9927. We can take a couple more comments. We have a Facebook comment, but this is relating to a conversation that we had yesterday concerning Senator Natasha Putu-Dragan. Dr. Mrs. Umali Barra from Owerri says, on Natasha's return to the Senate today, we await the drama in the Senate. It's sad that we have a Senate that is bedeviled with lawlessness, indiscipline, and does not abide by the due process. They preach patriotism, and it is mere lipstick and decorative language. While we, with this crop of rubber stamp lawmakers that have no consideration for the masses and the laws that we set for ourselves, why is the Senate president playing God in this country? Let me remind him the power is transient. You have it today, and tomorrow is gone.
Yeah, today, Natasha Natasha vowed that she's going to be in the Senate today. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of women activists that are saying they are going to accompany her to that place, including Aisha, Yusuf.
Yes, so true.
Yeah.
If the Senate wants to kill all of them, then they are ready. I think the Senate leadership should be very careful. We don't want to have an about woman riot at the National Assembly. Mm-hmm. They don't want an about woman riot there.
Let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah,
Good morning to you. Please, what's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Richard. I'm calling from Offa.
Richard from Afar, good morning to you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, on the issue of Kenny, it might not be parental upbringing. It might be her experience in Nigeria. There are a lot of people that have left this country with bitter, traumatic experiences. Mm-hmm. And we never expect those people to say anything good about Nigeria. The reason we are focusing on her is because she's somebody that is in a certain position. There are a lot of people, I know a lot of them that left here with a lot of bitter experiences. So, first people, you will never expect them to say anything good about Nigeria. Then, the analyst trying to blame it on the British, but that's a no for me. The British left Nigeria with a good educational system, we destroyed it. They left Nigeria with good healthcare system, we destroyed it. They left Nigeria with a booming economy, we destroyed it. British left Nigeria on a path to be a developing nation. Nigeria is underdeveloping instead of developing. All is our fault. It's because of our leadership style, the kind of people we put in authority, the kind of police force we have, the kind of legislators we have, the kind of leader, all around, it's our fault, not the British. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, Richard from Afar on that one. Thank you for your comment. Well, he's taking you on and as to your earlier comments and
yeah.
The British live in Nigeria worse or better than
Richard, you see, actually, I'm talking of they created a system that makes it very, very difficult for us to aspire to be ourselves. Now, a very good example is your Police Act. Have you looked at that law? It is not even in keeping. It's not in keeping with modern Nigeria. The way Nigeria, that is the way the way things are done globally. Look at some of the ordinances. They left all those ordinances there to protect colonialism. You understand? So, you see, that is what I am saying. You have other instances where they had colonized them and they left proper structures there. Time will fail us if we have to go.
All right. Well, because of time, we can just pick it up tomorrow. Yeah. Probably just quickly run through it. Thank you so very much, Nicholas. The views expressed on the program is not in any way the position of Flow FM 92.7, but solely as expressed, by individuals and, of course, the resident analyst, Nicholas Uwerunonye. Thank you for joining us. We'll return tomorrow, God willing, 8 to 8:30 for a round of conversation on trending national headlines. My name is Adeyemi.
I'm Danielle Shitta-Bey.
Here to light up the city, 92.7, go with the flow. Feel your day with us.
We've never achieved anything from the subsidy remover. Instead, everything is going higher, fuel up, food stuff is striking up.
Look at us now, there is nothing, we are starving.
As you can see, there is no light, and it makes us to lose customer. The government really needs to redefine its security architecture.
Every day, Nigerians get up to complain of one thing or the other about the affairs of the country, from poor electricity